What you gonna do, brother, when Orange Theory Stadium runs wild on you? Well, the answer is you play really, really terrible rugby and score no points for 14 minutes of the game. Okay, that's what happens when Orange Theory Stadium runs wild on you. Well, yeah, this was actually pretty dull game in the second half. Like so many mistakes from both teams. Just like there was no continuity from both teams for 14 minutes. No one scored any points in the second half. I mean, this was Crusaders home game, Orange Theory Stadium. Huge turnout for the fans. Highlanders, bottom of the ladder, looking to get their first win on the board for the season. They've done it a couple years ago against the Crusaders. They wanted to do it again, and it was pretty close to half time, and it was looking like it's going to be a cracking second half. And then some really odd stuff happened, and both teams look like they were in party mode, maybe. I don't know. Everybody was just so off this whole game. There were some pretty good players from the Highlanders in the second half, really lifted the game. Shannon Frizzell put a huge shift, and then what's his name? The halfback coming off the bench for Aaron Smith, really like lift the intensity up for the Highlanders as well. Falau Fakatava, and then it was just like no one was following up for the Highlanders. Same with the Crusaders. They had plenty of opportunities to score points when they, given the opportunity, just drop balls, silly penalties, and it's just no one was able to build any momentum following any kind of possession of the game. The Highlanders actually had dominance in the second half, had more opportunity to score as well. They had more possession, more territory in the second half, and they were not able to score any points. They had one opportunity to kick a penalty early in the second half, and the commentators absolutely jinxed the Jesus out of Mitchell Hunt, and he missed the penalty. Like, it wasn't that hard of the kick. Like, literally, the Highlanders was like in the Crusaders half, and the Crusaders were giving away penalties, and the commentators like, you gotta basically say something along the lines of, you've gotta take your points when it's on offer. After so many free points already given to you. And then sure enough, Highlanders, almost like they heard them on the commentary, decides to take a kick. And then the Highlanders, the commentary says something like, Mitchell Hunt, such a high kicking percentage would be tremendous, would be such a waste to not take the 3 points here. And then he missed the kick. So, yeah, this was hugely jinxed. I think it was Justin Marshall. And obviously, that was pretty much that was like 4 minutes into the second half, and that was like the only opportunity either teams really had to take a jab at the goal, and it was a missed conversion. Out of that, like, neither teams were able to really build any sustained pressure to, this was, I don't know, it's such a weird game. So anyway, what happened? Basically, second half started, I think right away, like 4 minutes or 5 minutes in the second half, there was some fans ran onto the field streaking. And then obviously they were just like, everybody just like, the camera obviously didn't want to show it. And then everybody was just like standing around. I was left at home wondering what the hell is happening. And then it was just literally like a 2-3 minute break. And then the commentator was like, yeah, we don't want to see that, fans streaking onto the field, yada, yada, yada. And then, so that was kind of just like, really kind of like disrupted the rhythm a little bit. I guess both teams came out with an intent to play, and then that intent was gone after this break, right? And then like a few minutes later, maybe like, I can't even remember, like 5 minutes later, maybe Crusaders, like there was a bit of a kicking game going on. I think it was the Crusaders that kicked the ball out, or maybe the Highlanders kicked the ball out to the stands, and the fans, someone in the stands caught the ball and just didn't give the ball back. And then they're just like, come on, give us the ball. And the guy just didn't give the ball back. and again, just like disruptions, completely like stalling the game. And then both teams had to wait to get the ball. There was another like a minute before they sorted out the ball from the fan. And yeah, this was, and then, there was a lot of singing going on, really good atmosphere. But the teams on the field, after these two kind of interruptions, just wasn't able to perform. Like, really was, it was like really kind of disappointing. So outside of disappointing second half, the first half was actually quite heavily contested. It was pretty obvious. The Crusaders going into this game were heavy favorites. Highlanders was like the underdog once again. I think the last time the Highlanders beat the Crusaders was in a similar situation where they were the underdogs. And then I'm pretty sure I remember it was Israel Dag in the pre-game commentary line like a couple of years ago. He was like, yeah, I bet $100,000 for the Crusaders to win this game. Guaranteed win. And then after Highlanders beat the Crusaders, and he was just like, got to figure out how to give him $100,000 back. I'm sure he was joking, but it was pretty stupid that if he actually put $100,000 on Crusaders. But anyway, so something that looks like it was going to happen this game once again. Both teams came out really close. 7 minutes into the game, Highlanders scores the first points on the board, and it was game on. There was just a really, really good line-out set-piece move from the Highlanders. Short ball to the front, pops back into the hooker, and obviously the Crusaders, as they typically do, Highlanders have identified this. They have Mushi Mwanga in the train tracks, who's not really like a specialized, halfback slash forward that defends this sort of area, and also he's also kind of like a smaller guy for the Crusader team. He just gets out-muscled by the hooker, the Highlander hooker jams through. Andrew Makaleo goes in for the first try for the Highlanders. And then the Crusaders strikes back. 5 minutes later, 12 minutes on the clock. Just again, Crusaders show that the set piece was, still probably the best in New Zealand. Set up a penalty, got a penalty straight out of the maul, and then just, quick ball, crash ball. Their big, I think it was it tight head prop? Yeah, it was the tight head prop. Newell crashes over for the first try for the Crusaders. 7 points a piece. And then, the game kind of like kicked out a bit of a speed for the Crusaders, bit of more urgency. I'll talk about 5 minutes for the Crusaders to once again get in the front foot. For Crusaders was trying to get in the front foot, and then Highlanders punished them with some good kicking game, and then eventually Highlanders were able to put some pressure on the Crusaders, forcing some penalties. The Highlanders gets another penalty opportunity inside the Crusaders 22. The ball kind of comes out quick. They set up like a maul, didn't really go anywhere. Comes out quick to Hunt. And then there was just like 3-4 options running different lines behind him. The Crusaders was trying to read the line. Looks like there was a misjudgment on how the line was going to play out. Some players were kind of rushing up too quickly for the Crusaders. And Mitchell Hunt just did a nice little short ball to, I think it was Frizzell? Not Frizzell, no, what's his name? The guy with long hair. What's his name? Scott Gregory was just there, like in the really short ball to him. Massive gap in front of him because all the defensive line was shuffled up, expecting like a longer pass behind, and then he just runs straight through for the second try for the Highlanders. So Highlanders leads, it's 14 points to 7, and then the Crusaders were basically then gets a penalty. It's interesting to see how the Crusaders was playing here, because usually they get penalty when they're behind like this. They wanted to kind of build some momentum, use that set piece that they have that's been going well for that. That's kind of like the bread and butter. But instead of going for that, they kind of go for the 3 points. What time was it when this happened? 25 minutes. They steady the game, kicks the 3, gets himself back 10 points to 14. And then on the 30-minute mark, the Crusaders gets in their second try as well. So this was the Crusaders gets a penalty. They go for a line out. The line out didn't really pan out too much, but they have a nice setup in the center field. So the ball comes out. They basically goes to the center field, 2 combination. David Havili and then Faenga Anuku, like literal 1-2 punch. Havili runs up, takes up the line, and then short ball to Faenga Anuku running what do they call it? Running an unders line. Just literally he punched through the Highlanders line literally looked like a car ramming through the Highlanders defense. This was a really, really good run. Bam! I literally can hear it. Bam! Running through. Beautiful, beautiful try for Faenga Nuku. And it was looking like really, really dominant, good rugby from the Crusader side. Like emphatically claims this try. Puts the Crusaders back up 17 points to 14. And then once again, just before halftime on the 40-minute mark, Crusaders gets himself a penalty. And, you know, in typical Crusaders fashion, when they get a penalty like in this sort of position, the Crusaders, world famous for being the team that closes out the end of the half really well and then closes out the end of the second, like finishing the halves really well. They're like world famous for winning the game at the, you know, before the halftime, after the halftime, and then also just before the end of the game. They're world famous for that. And then for some reason, uncharacteristically, if this was Crusaders, if you were going to put money on it, you would say they would go for the line out here and try to get a penalty, trying to get at least the 3-point penalty, kickable penalty, or get a try. They would literally try to get a try here, right? Like Crusaders would do this 9 out of 10 times. And for some reason, this was a pretty far kick, like 45, you know, maybe almost 50 meters on an angle. For some reason, the Crusaders decides to take a penalty here. Really, really uncharacteristic. I thought for sure the Crusaders would go for a line out here, especially considering it's really far out. This is a really difficult kick. And they, instead of getting like Richie Mwanga to do it, because I do think it's a bit out of range for Richie Mwanga, they got David Havili taking the kick. This was like the weirdest decision I've ever seen out of the Crusaders. And it was really, 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 really uncharacteristic of the Crusaders. And I did not expect this. I was like, that's really didn't look. It didn't look good, to be fair. I didn't know what was going on here. So they took this kick. Obviously, Havili, I don't think he's ever kicked. I can't remember he's ever kicked the penalty. Maybe he has, but I don't think I've ever seen him kick a penalty before. He kicks this one, and obviously he just goes out and like he had the distance, but he just like completely missed the mark by a country mile. Wasted opportunity. Really, really weird that Crusaders did not back their own line out here. Their set piece here. And yeah, that's halftime. Same score as full time. 17 points to 14. Highlanders probably had the opportunity to win the game, to be really fair. Second half, especially towards the end. Crusaders will give kind of red card as well due to a shoulder charge to the head. Their reserve hooker. And then, again, Crusaders was looking rusty as hell, losing the ball everywhere. And Highlanders had opportunity after opportunity. Like I said, Shannon Fritzell made some big breaks. No one in support. Like, no one in support to link up with his line breaks. Same with the reserve. What do you call it? The reserve. Okay, again, the reserve. Number 9. Faka Tava also made a nice run and really lifted the intensity as well for the Highlanders. Again, no one followed up. And then, yeah, just little errors, little drop balls, costing them the opportunities again and again. So, yeah, this was, I don't know. I thought this was a really weird game in the second half. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you watch this game? What did you think of it? And, yeah, the Crusaders definitely did not look good this game. And it definitely looked not like the Crusaders that we know. So there could potentially be some upsets in the future. Maybe even against Australian teams. So yeah, interesting game. Let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I'll see you guys later for more reviews. Cheers.